Imagine this. You're at a dinner party, one of those slightly too formal ones, maybe a wedding or some networking thing. You're holding a glass of lukewarm wine, and you're talking about a mutual friend. Let's just call him Dave.
Everyone knows a Dave.
Exactly. And you might say, casually, oh, Dave, he's really careful with his money.
Right.
And the person you're talking to just nods, takes a sip of their drink, and thinks, okay, Dave's responsible. Good for him.
It's a compliment.
Yeah.
It suggests prudence, good financial sense.
What if you leaned in a little, lowered your voice, and said, Dave, he's really cheap.
Oof. The whole room shifts. The temperature just drops.
Completely. And the crazy thing is, Dave hasn't changed a bit. He's at home, probably washing a Ziploc bag or refusing to pay for expedited shipping. The actual behavior is identical.
But the story you've told about him has completely changed. You've moved from prudent adult to, miserable penny pincher.
It's instantaneous. You've gone from a compliment to a character assassination with just one word.
And that is exactly what we're digging into today.
We're looking at this really fascinating source. It's a comprehensive vocabulary matrix. Think of it as a roadmap of personality traits.
But it's not just a list of definitions. It categorizes these traits based on their vibe. Are they positive, negative, neutral?
Yeah.
It's a masterclass in connotation.
So this deep dive is really about, I guess, the weaponization of vocabulary.
Or, if we want to be a bit more diplomatic about it, the power of nuance.
I see what you did there. I love it. The weaponization of vocabulary. Because we've all been on both sides of this. We've tried to describe a difficult colleague without sounding like we're just whining.
Oh, absolutely. And we've all been on the receiving end of someone calling us intense when we just thought we were being passionate.
Right. If you understand the difference between, say, resolute versus obstinate, you basically control the narrative. You're the editor of someone's reputation.
That's a great way to put it.
So we've got a lot of ground to cover. Based on the source, we're going to break this down into 3 big buckets. First, the standalone traits. These are words that paint a very specific picture.
Okay.
Then, the double-edged swords, which frankly is the juiciest part, where one behavior gets 2 totally different labels.
The hero or the villain choice.
Exactly. And finally, communication styles. How we judge people just by how much or how little they talk.
Sounds like a solid plan. So why does this matter? I mean, why are we not just using emojis to describe people at this point?
Well, looking at this source, it's so clear that language is never neutral. This list gives us a framework for describing behavior with extreme precision.
It separates the what of the behavior from how it's perceived. It's understanding that a magnetic personality and a distrustful nature both describe someone, but they trigger completely different responses in your brain.
It's the difference between reading a resume and reading a warning label.
Exactly. And mastering this helps you understand how you're being perceived too.
All right, let's dive into that first category, the standalone traits. These are words from our source that don't have a direct opposite listed, but they define a whole archetype. Let's start with a big one. Opportunistic.
The opportunist. The source defines this as using situations for one's own benefit.
Which is interesting because in the business world, we're always told to seize opportunities.
Right.
Carpe diem.
Yeah. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
So where's the line? When does seizing an opportunity become being opportunistic?
I think it crosses the line when it becomes zero-sum. Calling someone opportunistic implies they're doing it at someone else's expense, maybe at the expense of ethics or loyalty.
So they aren't just seeing an open door, they're pushing you out of the way to get through it.
Exactly, which is the polar opposite of another word on this list, altruistic.
Defined here as thinking of others rather than yourself. It feels like a fundamental split in motivation.
It really does. The opportunist asks, how can I get the biggest slice of the pie? The altruist asks, does everyone else have a fork?
I like that. So in a work environment, you really need to know who's who.
For sure. An opportunist might crush a short-term goal, but an altruist is who you want with you in a long-term crisis. They build the culture.
Okay, moving along the social spectrum. Here's a term I think we all want to hear someone use about us. Magnetic personality.
That's the gold standard, isn't it? A personality that attracts people to you. It's that X factor, that charisma.
Yeah, it's an energy. But on the flip side of that, in the same section, we've got distrustful.
Oof. Not trusting and being suspicious of others, that sounds like a very lonely place to be. You're not attracting people, you're repelling them.
And right next to that is insecure. The source is very clear. Not confident or being uncertain about your own abilities.
And we've all felt that. Imposter syndrome is real. But when it's a defining trait, it changes how people interact with you. They feel like they have to handle you with kid gloves.
Which brings us to the people who are good at handling those gloves. The source lists two really nice ones here, obliging and supportive.
I like the distinction the source makes here. Obliging is being ready to help. It feels a bit polite, reactive.
Like holding the elevator.
Exactly. Whereas supportive is defined as giving help or encouragement. It's more active. An obliging manager approves your time off. A supportive manager helps you map out your career.
It's a huge difference. Okay, what about this next pair? It sounds like a weather report for the soul. Placid versus morose.
Placid is such a lovely word. Calm and does not easily become excited or angry. It's a smooth lake at dawn. You want a placid pilot.
Right. But you probably don't want a morose party guest.
No, morose is just feeling gloomy. It's Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
Thanks for noticing me.
Precisely. And notice, the external behavior could be the same. Someone sitting quietly might be placid or they might be morose. But the internal energy is totally different. One calms the room, the other just sucks the oxygen out of it.
Let's talk practicality for a second. The list gives us down to earth.
Being practical and sensible, the highest compliment you can pay a celebrity, apparently.
Huh. So true. He's so down to earth. It means they haven't lost touch with reality.
And the enemy of that, according to this list, isn't arrogant. It's superficial.
Not caring about serious things. That's a pretty scathing critique. It implies a total lack of depth.
And related to that is naive. Trusting too easily without enough experience of life. That without experience part is key. It's not just that they're trusting, it's that they don't know any better.
And it's almost a pitying word.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one that I think gets misused a lot, but our source has a very specific definition. Chauvinistic.
Yes, this is a great catch. Today, most people hear that and immediately think male chauvinist, gender politics.
Right.
But the primary definition here is about nationalism. Being too patriotic. It's patriotism taken to a blinding, unhealthy extreme.
Interesting. Okay, let's wrap this section with some behavioral quirks. For all the productivity nerds out there, methodical versus perfectionist.
This is a vital distinction. Methodical is being systematic and careful. It's about trusting the process. A, then B, then C.
And the perfectionist.
Someone who is not satisfied if things are not 100% perfect.
So a methodical person enjoys the system, but a perfectionist is tortured by the result.
That's a brilliant way to put it. The methodical person finishes on time. The perfectionist might never finish because the font on page 12 isn't quite right.
And then you have the intuitive person who just understands things instinctively.
Right, which is great until they get carried away.
Becoming too excited and losing control.
Which often happens right before they do something tactless.
Inclined to say things that upset or offend people.
You see how it's a cascade? The intuitive person trusts their gut, gets carried away with an idea, loses their filter, and boom, says something tactless.
Okay, let's move to the main event, section 2. The two sides of the same coin.
This is where it gets really good. The double-edged sword category. The same action, but your word choice decides if you're the hero or the villain.
Let's start with money. This is the classic example. The behavior is simple. You don't like spending it?
Right. The data point is just low spending.
On the positive side, we have thrifty and frugal.
Both defined as being careful with money. Calling someone frugal is a compliment to their wisdom, their long-term vision. Warren Buffett is frugal.
But if you don't like them, if they, didn't chip in for the office birthday gift,
then they are stingy.
Which means mean with money.
Or, if you really want to twist the knife, parsimonious.
Extremely stingy. Parsimonious, it just sounds so withered, like an old raisin.
It does, doesn't it? But the action is the same. Frugal implies you're saving for something better. Parsimonious implies you just love the money more than the people you're with.
What about the opposite? Someone who spends or gives a lot.
On the positive side, you've got generous. And an even stronger word is unstinting.
Unstinting, I like that word. It's truly generous.
Yeah, like she was unstinting with her praise. It means it's abundant, it flows.
But if they go too far, or if you think they're being reckless,
then they're immoderate.
Excessive or not sensible. So unstinting praise is good. Immoderate spending is bad.
Exactly. It's about boundaries. Unstinting feels like it comes from a place of fullness. Immoderate feels like a lack of control.
Okay, let's talk intelligence and strategy. How do we describe someone who's smart and good at getting what they want?
Well, if we like them, if they're on our team, they're astute or shrewd.
Having good judgment.
Shrewd is a huge compliment in business. It means you read the fine print, you don't get taken advantage of.
But if they're the villain,
Ooh,
or the competitor who beat you,
then they are cunning or sly.
and cunning is basically just shrewd, but with that negative association.
It implies deception. A shrewd negotiator is tough but fair. A cunning negotiator has a trick up their sleeve. A fox is cunning. A wise owl is astute.
I love that. Let's move to determination. Someone who just refuses to quit.
A very admirable trait, sometimes.
On the positive team, we've got resolute and dogged.
Dogged is great, like a dog with a bone. She pursued the story with dogged determination. It's heroic. It implies you overcame obstacles.
And resolute sounds very noble, like a statue.
It does. He remained resolute in the face of danger.
But what if I'm trying to get you to change your mind because you're wrong and you just won't?
Then you are not resolute. You are stubborn. Or even worse, obstinate.
Which is the negative word for being resolute.
It implies you're just being difficult for the sake of it. Resolute means you're sticking to your guns for a higher purpose. Obstinate means you're just being a mule.
Let's talk principles versus flexibility. This is a tricky one.
For sure. On the positive side, you can be idealistic or principled.
Principled is a solid word. It means you have a code. You're trustworthy.
But when that curdles, you get dogmatic and inflexible.
Dogmatic implies you're following a doctrine blindly without thinking.
Right. A principled person has chosen their values. A dogmatic person is just repeating rules from a book, regardless of the context.
And if you have no rules at all,
then you're unprincipled or unscrupulous.
Lacking morals. Definitely a villain trait.
Oh, yeah. But somewhere in the healthy middle, we get tolerant or open-minded.
So the ideal person, according to this, is principled but tolerant.
It's a tightrope walk. And the words we choose tell everyone whether we think they've fallen off.
Okay, so that covers personality and behavior. Let's move to our last section, communication and work ethic.
This is huge because you can't really hide your communication style. As soon as you open your mouth, you're on the grid.
Let's start with the talkers. If you enjoy a good conversation, you're chatty or talkative.
Those are positive. Oh, she's so chatty, the flight went by in a flash. It implies connection.
But if you're holding me hostage with your conversation, if I'm looking at my watch and you're still going,
then you are verbose.
Too talkative.
Or, my personal favorite word on this entire list, garrulous.
It's such a mouthful, isn't it? Garrulous. Sounds like gargling rocks.
It really does. It implies a rambling, pointless stream of words. Chatty is a game of tennis. Garrulous is just hitting balls against a wall by yourself.
Perfect analogy. Okay, what about the quiet types?
On the positive side, witty and pithy.
Pithy is a great word. Brief and full of meaning, like a perfect tweet.
Exactly. Maximum impact, minimum words. It shows respect for the listener's time.
But the negative side of being brief.
Brusque and terse.
Brusque just implies rudeness. It feels abrupt.
Think about email. Your boss replies to your long proposal with one word, approved. That's pithy. You're happy. If they reply, fix this, that's brusque. You're panicking.
And let's not forget, sharp tongue.
Ooh, yeah. Inclined to speak in a severe and critical way.
That's someone who uses brevity as a weapon. They don't just speak in short sentences, they cut.
Okay, moving to work habits. We all want to be seen as hard workers.
Definitely. The positive words here are diligent and industrious.
Industrious is a great word. It means hardworking. Diligent implies care and attention to detail.
But the shadow side of that is the workaholic.
Someone who is work-obsessed. It stops being about the output and becomes about the obsession.
It implies an imbalance. You don't commend someone for being a workaholic. You worry about them. Finally, let's talk general demeanor. We touched on morose, but here we have sober and serious.
Right, and sober here doesn't just mean not drunk. It means grounded, realistic.
A sober assessment of the situation. You want a sober leader in a crisis.
But the negative version of that is sullen.
Which is a negative association for being morose or gloomy.
Sullen implies a bad attitude. It's childish. A serious person is focused. A sullen person is pouting.
It's just amazing how these tiny shifts in definition change the whole picture.
It really is. We think we're describing reality, but we're mostly describing our reaction to reality.
So wrapping this all up, we've gone through this whole list. Why should the listener care about the difference between being, say, thrifty and stingy?
Well, it really comes down to emotional intelligence. When you hear someone describe a colleague as dogmatic, you learn more about the speaker than you do about the colleague. You're hearing their feelings about that behavior. You're decoding the subtext.
It's like a secret code. You're hearing the opinion hidden inside the adjective.
It is. And for yourself, it's about self-awareness. You might think you're being resolute and principled. You're the hero of your own story.
Right.
But if everyone in the office sees you as obstinate and dogmatic, you don't have a personality problem, you have a communication problem.
That is a huge insight. You can't easily change who you are, but you can change how your behavior is perceived if you understand this stuff.
Precisely. Maybe you need to explain your frugality so it doesn't look like stinginess. It gives you control over the gap between your intent and their perception.
So the takeaway is, words are tools. Use them carefully.
And listen to them carefully. They reveal as much about the speaker as they do about the subject.
Love that. Before we go, we always like to leave you with something to think about.
Right. So for you, the listener, I want you to do a quick mental inventory. Think of your 3 best personality traits. The ones you'd put on a resume. Maybe you're chatty, principled, and thrifty.
Okay, got mine. I'm definitely chatty. I like to think I'm resolute.
Now, I want you to swap those words for their negative synonyms from our list today.
Oh no, I see where this is going.
If you were chatty, principled, and thrifty, you are now.
Garrulous, dogmatic, and stingy.
Exactly.
That's a terrible person. I would not hang out with that guy.
But it's the exact same set of behaviors. So the question to leave you with is this: how close are you to that line? And if someone who didn't like you were to describe you, which words would they choose?
That is both terrifying and brilliant. Thank you for that existential crisis, and thank you all for listening to this deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next one.
But hey, try to stay astute, not cunning, everybody.